We would like to recognize that all three of SFU's campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Coquitlam, and Katzie nations. My name is Madison, and I am a student recruitment coordinator from the SFU's recruitment and admissions team, and I am one of your hosts for today's events. I am also joined by my esteemed colleagues, Caitlin Davis, the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences Coordinator of Recruitment, Community Outreach, and Student Engagement, Rebecca Sangues, who is our Indigenous Student Recruitment Coordinator, and our current FASS student, Colin. Caitlin also has a few members of her team here as well, but she will be giving their introductions in a bit. So we'd like to begin. So at SFU, we have 3 campuses, 8 faculties, 84 research institutions, and we are ranked the #1 comprehensive university in Canada. So if you are interested in doing research, you have come to the right place. We currently have over 30,000 students enrolled in our programs, and as well as 10,000 students who are currently participating in co-op and other work experiences. A fun fact about SFU is that we are the only Canadian institution to participate in the NCAA, where our varsity athletes compete with US teams. At SFU, the SFU community is an integral part of being a student. From clubs to student unions to recreational sports, there is something here for you. I will now hand it over to Colin to speak about his experience within the SFU community.
Yeah, hi, my name is Colin. I'm going into my final semester of doing a criminology major and political science minor. I've done a little bit of everything over the university. I was a mentor with FASS. I've been the acting president of the Criminology Student Association, planned a lot of events there. Started up the backpacking club with some friends because we love the outdoors. I've worked as a tour guide, and I've worked as a volunteer events coordinator on programs like the Global Connections program. So done a lot here. And I'll pass it back to Madison.
Thanks, Colin. To build on our SFU community, we've recently completed our brand new student union building. Our incoming fall 2021 class will get to be one of the first groups to be in our new building, if we're thankful enough to be back on campus in September. We also have a brand new stadium. With the new stadium opening on campus this fall, there will be even more opportunities to spectate our university sports, such as football, track and field, and soccer, once we're able to safely gather together again. And another new thing, we also have new residences opening up. We have new residence buildings opening up this May with single occupancy rooms. There's also common spaces, opportunities to collaborate, and spaces to find comfort within your new surroundings. Another one of our many benefits of being an SFU student is graduating into a network of over 170,000 proud alumni from over 43 countries. Not only will you be able to be a part of a strong community while you are a student, but to continue to be a part of one once you graduate. Currently, there will be an update in regards to the status of our fall semester in regards to COVID in May. SFU is working collaboratively within the community and with our provincial government to safely reopen our doors. If you have any specific questions about our COVID-19 protocols or any other questions for that matter, we will be having a Q&A period at the end of today's presentation. And once again, thank you for joining us today, and I will now be handing it over to Caitlin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madison. Hello, everybody, and congratulations on your offer to the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at SFU. We are so very proud of you and so excited to hopefully be welcoming you all. Some of you may not have accepted your offer yet. Some of you may have. Hopefully, we'll be welcoming you all this fall. Fingers crossed that we'll be allowed to do that on campus. So congratulations, big round of applause to everybody on your offer. As Madison mentioned, my name is Caitlin Davis. I am the coordinator for recruitment, community outreach, and engagement with the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, also known as FASS. We'll be using that as our short acronym for the faculty. Over these next few months, we're going to be offering several bi-weekly sessions. So this is the second one. And they're going to help you navigate your educational journey, help you get answers to any of your questions. You'll get to know us a little bit better. During these sessions, you get to engage in discussion with some of our professors. You'll get to hear from students like today, some of our alumni, and academic advisors. You'll also be able to learn about our FASS co-op and career opportunities. So that's our next session on April 7th. That will be all things FASS, co-op, and career. So make sure you join us for that one. A couple of things I want you to remember are that we have a team of dedicated academic advisors who are available to help you with things like your course planning, program requirements. They'll be offering online sessions over the next few months to help you with some of the big questions that you might have, like what classes do I take? Make sure you look into this prior to the start of every semester. So not just this upcoming fall semester, you want to make sure you do this every semester. And if you change your mind, that's something that's okay too. It's very common for students to change their minds, and our advisors, they're there to support you through this journey and help you build a program that works best for you. Today, we do have two academic advisors here. So we have Rachel, she's a FASS Year 1 academic advisor. And we also have Rose for any students who might be part of the FASS 1 program in Surrey. So any questions you have, you can feel free to put that into the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the session today. There's also a session, I believe it's May 19th. So it's the last one we're going to have, and that will be with all your FASS Year 1 advisors, and you can get all your questions answered there. So a little bit about us, FASS. We are the largest faculty at SFU with nearly 12,000 undergraduate students, as Bettina mentioned in the chat. That's about 40% of all the SFU students are a part of FASS. So we are quite large. We have 23 different departments and programs and the widest array of topics available for you to study, such as history, political science, international studies, labor studies, cognitive science, criminology, economics, and so much more. We are very interdisciplinary. So what that means is that the topics we have, they might seem distinct to you, but they actually overlap and they complement each other very well. So you can take classes that align with your strengths, your passions, your goals, all under the umbrella of your undergraduate degree. So a lot of you mentioned things like cognitive science, psych, crim, international studies. You're not just studying subjects from those areas. You will be studying other subjects as part of your program as well. So you really get to explore. And that's something that we really encourage students and you to do, is to stay curious and explore. Have fun. That's a big thing. Have fun. And don't worry about figuring everything out right now. Don't be shy to connect with your advisors. They're really there to support you. We also have a team of peer mentors, some of them here today, who are very excited and eager to meet you. They are current students, and you can actually sign up to be paired with someone, and they might be from your intended program. So they can provide you with different tips and tricks and resources to help support you over those first few months at SFU. And it's a really great way to make some friends, get connected to the different social and academic activities that go on outside of the classroom. Today, we do have 5 current students here, so they'll talk to you a little bit about their journey through SFU, maybe how they got to the program that they're in today, some of their goals, what it's like to be a student in FASS at SFU, and you'll get to ask them questions as well. And quickly, before I pass you on, I just want to mention a couple more things. At the start of April, we will have some current students who will be calling you. So you will have the opportunity to connect with them directly on the phone, and you'll get to chat with them a little bit about student life in FASS. So it'll be a one-on-one chat with a current student. So keep your eyes open for that. It'll be the first 2 weeks. It starts March 29th, so it'll go on for 2 weeks. And it'll be coming from a private caller, so make sure you don't miss it. Don't forget to keep your eyes open to all the other exciting opportunities over the next few months for you to connect virtually, not only with some of your advisors, but also fellow students and peer mentors. And you can also join the new 2021 undergrad Facebook group and start getting connected with other incoming students. And you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook for FASS directly at fass.engage. Now I'm going to pass it on to our students, and we will start with Abby first. So I'll pass it on to Abby.
Hello, everyone. I'm Abby, and I'm a third-year student studying international studies and communications. I'm also a co-op student working at the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, or FASS, as their engagement programming assistant. Yeah, so that's a bit about me. I'll pass it over to Amin.
Yeah, Amin, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amin. I'm in the International Studies and History programs at SFU. I originally started in international studies, but as Caitlin mentioned, it is quite interdisciplinary. So as I started taking more and more classes in different fields like political science and history, I became very interested in different topics. So I decided to pursue a major in history as well, which has been really interesting. And I've had some great professors over the course of my time at SFU. I am in my 5th year now, so I've been here forever. I've had the opportunity to participate in both the co-op and exchange programs at SFU. I'm currently a co-op student with Global Affairs Canada with their Department of International Trade. This is not an opportunity I would have gotten without co-op, so I strongly encourage everyone to come to the info sessions about that. And I also started with the FASS 1 program in Surrey, and I will be a peer mentor in the fall as well, so I hope to see some of you guys there.
Awesome. I'll pass it on. Colin kind of did an introduction already. We'll let Colin do his introduction, and then we'll go on to Mizuki and Nick, and then we'll start going into some of our panel questions from there. So Colin, just a quick intro again.
Sure. So very quickly, I'm in my 5th and final year of a criminology major, political science minor. I also have a certificate in legal studies, which is really just a combination of criminology and political science courses. That gives me another word on my degree. I actually started out as a political science major because I was thinking, political science leads into law school. But I found I didn't like political science itself as much. As in, like, I didn't want to major in it as much, but I still had enough that I was really interested in. And I tried a crim course kind of on a whim, and I was like, I really enjoyed that. And then I took another course, and then another course, and then I was like, I found I really wanted to major in it. And honestly, I don't feel I wasted anything by going around and exploring other courses, because I found something eventually that I ended up really liking. And kind of throughout my time, like I mentioned, I was originally thinking of being a lawyer. Kind of the further I got in my degree, I kind of realized, actually, you know what? It's not the career that I want. I went to some lawyer panels, talked to actual lawyers, and got some work experience, and now my path has completely changed.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin. And that's something that you might find is very common. So a lot of students will come in with this idea in mind of exactly what they want to do. And you might take some classes in another area and realize maybe that's not what you want to do, and your path can change. And as I kind of mentioned, that's why we really encourage you to, stay curious and explore, figure these things kind of out as part of your program. As Colin mentioned, he felt, he didn't waste any time doing that, and he's on kind of this path that he wants to go on now. So, all right. So we'll pass it on to Mizuki.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mizuki, and I'm in my 4th year. This summer is my last semester, which is nerve-wracking but exciting. Thanks, Caitlin. I'm a world languages student with a minor in English, and I saw some of you were intended English students in the chat, so I'm happy to talk about that. In high school, my favorite subjects were English and social studies, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go into university with an English major and a history minor and become a high school teacher. But I remember looking through the list of departments in FASS while I was choosing my intended minor. And I saw so many things I was interested in, like English and history, of course, but also sociology, linguistics, philosophy, international studies. And I was so overwhelmed because I was like, I want to major and minor in all of these. But then I got to the bottom of the list, and it's in alphabetical order, so world literature is last. And I was like, oh, this kind of feels like a culmination of everything else I'm interested in. So I decided to set world literature as my intended minor, but I took a couple world literature classes, and I absolutely fell in love. I'm from Kelowna, which is a bit of a smaller town in BC, so I hadn't really had a chance to explore a bunch of different cultures, and especially literature from other cultures before. But reading Japanese literature for the first time really spoke to me a lot. And from there, I started exploring Japanese language and Japanese history and just learning more about myself and my culture as well. And through this love and passion, I decided to major and then pursue an honors degree in world languages and literatures. But as Caitlin has said, and Colin, everything is very interdisciplinary and FASS, and a lot of things collide in different areas, and it's fun to explore different courses to find out what you're truly passionate in.
Awesome. Thank you. Nick, I'll pass it on to you.
Hey, everybody. Congratulations on being here, by the way. So my name's Nick. I'm much like Colin. I'm a crim major, political science minor. But crim was kind of something that I went into SFU knowing I want to study, because in high school that was like, law was my favorite subject. It was my favorite class and had like my favorite teacher. And I was like, I feel like doing a degree based on this would be pretty interesting. And it was. I'm also, like Almond said, she's a peer mentor with the FASS 1 program with SFU Surrey. I've been doing that for 4 years. This is actually my final semester of being a student at SFU. I'm graduating, but my experience as a mentor has probably been the most fulfilling part of my time at university, because it allowed me to kind of get opportunities like this and connect with first-year students and kind of just help them with the transition to university life, because there are some things that are different and unexpected, but it's still a lot of fun. And I think that's something that everyone here on the panel stressed so far. Like SFU, it's a very fun and unique experience. And yeah, the degree in crims, I saw some people in the chat said they're pursuing criminology. Like, just know there are some very fun field trips that you do with criminology that I'm not sure available to certain other majors. Not to bash any, but like, not everyone gets to go to a prison and like, yeah. I'll leave it at that little spoiler. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's actually going to lead us into the next topic. What are some of the cool or interesting things that you've done that are part of your program? I'll let whoever wants to go first, feel free to take it away, and we'll just kind of go around from there. Who wants to go first?
I can
Awesome.
go. Yeah, sure. So in my second semester at SFU, I was sitting in a world literature class, one of my first ones, and my professor was saying, there's this world literature student conference that happens every year. We need student volunteers. You'll get bonus grades for participating. So I was like, sure, why not? I'll get some bonus grades. And I threw my hat in for a position. And I ended up getting involved with something called the World Literature Student Conference. It's a student-led academic conference that takes place every year at SFU. I ended up becoming the assistant coordinator in my first year, and I had so much fun and met a lot of people. And for there, I've presented at the conference. I've been a coordinator and a producer of the conference. It's been a really valuable experience. I've met some of my closest friends at SFU through working on it. And I think speaking and volunteering at a conference as an undergrad isn't an experience lots of people get, but I'm really grateful that it's something that World Languages and Literatures and SFU in general offers.
Awesome, thank you. And Bettina's just adding some extra information based on what the students are saying. So feel free to refer to the chat. You can get some extra information on things like what the WLL student conference is like. All right, who wants to go next? Pass it on. I'll go with Colin. We'll pass it on to Colin. I'll start calling you guys out.
So within my program, well, I was a FASS peer mentor. As Nick was saying, it's a very, very fulfilling position to be in. You really do, like, as a mentor, or as a mentee, having a mentor, you get a lot of help with kind of that transition piece to university, because, like, to be completely honest, it can be super overwhelming. And your mentor is somebody who really has been at SFU for a while, and they kind of know the ins and outs. They know they might not be able to help you directly with something, but they know who to point you towards. So it's a super helpful thing to kind of see, like, as being a mentor, having seen like kind of how my mentees have grown throughout the semester. Like, it's really nice.
Awesome. We'll go on to Nick.
Yeah, like Colin said, it's like, it brings a tear to my eye watching my little mentees at the end of the semester, like, so well versed in SFU, and just totally like the way that university, especially because I've been doing this for so long. I'm not trying to like date myself, but like before everything went online, and it's like even like after things have been online for a while, it's still very cool to see how students come into the first semester of their time with SFU just super hesitant, or not afraid, but just unsure of like everything that SFU has in store and like what university courses entail. And then by the end of the semester, they're like, bro, I got like, this is going to be so much fun. Like, just the end of it is, it's just, sorry, I don't know how to explain it. Watching the growth of students just over the first semester alone, and seeing them realize everything that SFU has to offer. Like, it can be overwhelming, but naturally, if you're in programs like that where you have a mentor, there's someone there to kind of guide you through it and point you in the direction of special opportunities and things that are unique to you as an arts and social science student.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's just another thing is really showing how valuable that peer mentorship program is. So a lot of you coming in, you don't know all of the services available to you. You don't know the tips and tricks that the current students right now know. So make sure that you do take advantage of that peer mentorship program and get connected to current students, and they'll really help kind of you on that journey a little bit, right? Point you in the right direction. All right, we'll go on to Abby. Some cool, interesting things that you've done as part of your program and your journey.
Yeah, for sure. Similar to Mizuki's story, I also joined my student union, the International Studies Student Association, and I kind of just like threw my hat in and like ran for like an executive role. And like since it's a smaller union, there's lots of roles available, and so I really kind of like got involved and immersed in like planning events. So like as an example, past events we did like discussion series where we talk about human rights, democracy, kind of like just an open panel of like, you know, your thoughts, and as well as kind of also helping students like you who are new to know about like different concentrations, also meet like current students, what are their favorite classes, and just kind of like bond and hang out. And so that's one way that I've been able to kind of like put into my passions being like international studies and like letting students know what's available, and as well as and kind of like through that and being involved with other clubs and at SFU, I kind of like developed like great skills in event planning and like PR and marketing that I didn't know that I had. And so that kind of like what led me to minor in communications as well, because this is something that I kind of like didn't think that I would get into. But there's also like, I think, a difference between like, hey, knowing what you want to do and then like learning it and excelling in it, but also kind of like what your skills are that you already have that are not like that comes naturally to you. And so I really enjoyed kind of doing that with the ISSA. And with the ISSA, since we are a smaller faculty department, I should say, I got to know more of like the professors and as well as like the students around me. And so I don't feel shy now, kind of like going to office hours being like, I don't understand this, because they're so there for us and like want to help us evolve as we grow into our careers. And so that's definitely kind of like the exciting bit for me.
Great, thanks, Abby. All right, Amin, how about for you?
Colin and Nick already covered being a peer mentor and how valuable that is. So I will draw on my co-op experience. My first co-op term was with Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs Canada. So they work on negotiating treaties with Indigenous groups. And a lot of Indigenous groups live in pretty remote areas. So I was a first term co-op student and they let me travel with them to some of these remote meetings. And I got to ride in those water planes that you see at waterfront. They're really scary, but it was a lot of fun. And it was a great opportunity that I only got through co-op, and it's not an opportunity that a lot of co-ops offer. But because of my background in history and in international studies, I kind of was drawn into the field of Indigenous relations. So it was something that I didn't know that I was interested in until I went out on a limb and took the position, and I got to experience different parts of BC and different modes of travel.
Awesome, thank you. Has anybody else done any really cool co-op jobs that they want to talk about right now before we go on to the next part? Abby, yeah.
I did a co-op job at a nonprofit before my current co-op job at SFU. I was a campaign associate for United Way, and through that we fundraised. But we actually did $80,000 through the help of the SFU community to donate to the local needs of our neighborhood. And so that was a really cool experience because I got to like plan events, do social media initiatives, and I also got to help our SFU external relations team and their government relations sides kind of like helping with their events of like addressing needs of like special need kids through the pandemic, and as well as like different events that cater to the larger community. And so that was one memorable experience that I had last semester.
Cool, awesome. Anybody else have anything that they want to mention about co-ops? Good. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. So I'm going to talk a little bit about getting to travel as part of her co-op. Something you can do part of your program is, study abroad or exchange programs. Has anybody here taken part in any type of study abroads or exchange programs, or looking into doing that? No?
I did actually.
You did. Awesome. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I went to France, but I had the misfortune of going to France in January of 2020. So COVID hit in March, and we had to frantically scramble back, but it was still a valuable experience, I would say. I went to Sciences Po, which is just outside of Paris, and it was great because it's kind of like a central campus and lots of different students from all parts of Europe come there. So I got to meet a lot of different people, and I still am in touch with a lot of people from there, even though we all had to like come back early, which was sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah, very valuable experience for those couple of months that you had it, I'm sure. Of course, travel is not something that we can do right now, unfortunately, but most of you are going into these programs, and we'll hopefully have some travel that will open up for you as an option. So do think about those study abroad, FASS field school opportunities. So those are some options that are available. All right. Now, what do we want to talk about? Let's talk about favorite classes. So I think this is kind of cool because it gives the incoming students here in this virtual room an idea of some of the different classes that exist that maybe they didn't think existed, or it might, click in their brains that is something that I really want to take and I'm going to go towards that. So let's talk about favorite class that you've taken in FASS, and even maybe your favorite professor as well. We'll do a 2-in-1 here. So we'll start with Colin.
Oh man, favorite class. That's a hard one. I mean, the one I probably had the most laughs and enjoyable. Yeah, actually, Crim 410. It was for me. It's called Decision Making in Criminal Justice. And basically what we did is we sat around in a circle, no desks, no books, no nothing. And we just talked the whole class. It was fantastic. So we basically got to take like what we learned in previous years, and we were given like scenarios. And for example, like we were given an actual like court case, and it was like, okay, if you were the judge, how would you rule on this? And then we were either like, some of them would work solo and then come together, discuss it, or another one, we were given an actual like probation case. So it's like, this person is given to you. How would you decide to like deal with it? And we got to talk, and we also got the chance to actually meet a lot of people within the criminal justice system. So we got to talk to current lawyers and like how they perceive things. We got to go on a tour of Mizuki institution. So got to learn from like some prison guards there, people on the parole board, and really kind of got to discuss the stuff that we were learning about in books, but like actually in the real world, how it played out. So it was a super valuable course. Also helped that it was a pretty easy A+ for me, but because 50% of my grade was participation, but it was fantastic. And I actually really missed going to that class because it was just, we got to talk the whole time. And then we wrote reflection papers for the rest of the grade.
Awesome.
I think Kurt retired, so.
I think Daniel your favorite Murdoch, professor retired? Yeah. Oh.
Well, Tamara O'Doherty is probably my favorite prof. I've taken a handful of courses with her. She's fantastic. She teaches Crim 135 pretty often, so you might have her your first term if she's teaching it.
So make note of that, incoming students. Write down some of these names. or courses that might be of interest to you. Mizuki, will go on to you. Favorite class or classes, maybe your favorite professor as well.
This is a really tricky question. One class I really enjoyed I took last semester, and I think it was English 347 with Professor Michael Everton. And it was a 19th century American literature class, which I was like, oh, this is the only class available. I guess I'll study it. But one really cool thing about English and World Lit is the professors really make their own book lists and make their own themes. And this professor really chose to study solely African American and Indigenous literature in that course. And we just learned so much. It was a really great time to learn it too after the summer. Really deep conversations with my class. It felt like a really safe thing to discuss these topics and explore them through literature. And I felt like I grew a lot as a person in that class, which is always a good feeling. Another really great class I took was Humanity 309. It was a couple summers ago, and it was at the Vancouver campus, which is downtown, which is always kind of fun. It was in the evening until 9:30 p.m. So we were all like kind of tired after a long day, but we'd all come in with some tea, and it was a small class size. And it was another class where we just kind of sat and chatted about these really interesting works. Something cool about being an undergrad is the higher you go in your program, the smaller and smaller your class sizes get. So when you're in your third and fourth year, it does sometimes feel like you're sitting in a class with just a bunch of people discussing cool ideas. And I think that's really where I feel like as a student, I learn and I grow the most. As for my favorite professor, I have to say Professor Malak from the World Languages and Literatures Department. She's the chair of the department, and she's the professor I'm doing my honors thesis work with. And from the time I entered my degree, she cared so much about all the students, always reaching out to make sure we were doing okay, and just really made me feel like I was a valued member of the WLL community, which is always important.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mizuki. We'll pass it on to Nick next.
For sure. I just wanted to add on to what Mizuki said about like as you progress in your degree, like the classes not only get like smaller, but also the material is like becomes so much more focused and specialized. I know in Crim especially, like a lot of really awesome courses in the upper division are like from these super small groups when you're discussing like a very specific like societal phenomenon. Like I'm in two courses this semester. One's talks all about family violence, and the other one talks all about sex work and its relationship with the law, which is taught by the professor that Colin mentioned tomorrow. But my favorite courses I've taken at SFU have actually been from the English department, both with the same professor, Colin, English 112 and English 115. In one of them, we studied digital storytelling. So it was all about like video games and movies and how like stories are portrayed across different media formats. And it was super interesting. Like for a project in that course, we got to like review a video game that we played before and like critique the storytelling elements of it. And then the other one, English 115, it was all about modern literature. And the way that professor designed the course was it was based all around different New Yorker short stories. So each week we would read a New Yorker short story, and across the semester we covered like 15 of them. And it was just really cool. I never would have expected that. Like everyone thinks university, you're reading like 40 to 1,000 pages a week for whatever courses you're doing. But it's like, here's an English course where you read 3 to 5 pages a week of beautiful New Yorker short stories. So yeah, English 115 and English 112. Check them out.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. And Abby, will go on to you.
Yeah, so my favorite course is IS 230, which is Beyond the Nation. And it's, bear with me because I'm quite bad at explaining because IS is quite sporadic and it's all over the place, which is one of the things I love as well because it is very interdisciplinary. But in this course, they talk about how you fashion like ideas of like culture, communities, and like a lot of the isms like nationalism, and kind of just thinking like, how do we perceive our identity? And so one of the books that we read was Imagine Communities by Benedict Anderson. So it talked about what really kind of like separates us. So as an example, it'd be like, we have like Americans and Canadians, and there's like this border, kind of like that lines that, signifies we're not this, but we're this. but in the end of the day, like we're all just kind of like a global community. And so how do we like transform against that? Like, what do we perceive ourselves as? And it's like just an amazing class to kind of like figure out like the perspectives of different people and how they view themselves. And one of my favorite things that I did in this class was we wrote an essay, which we had like kind of complete control about, to write kind of like the communities, two communities that we identify with, and another community that kind of like connecting them as well. And so what I wrote about was kind of like diaspora and like Filipino communities, because I'm Filipino. And so it was really like great for me to be able to write about like my own like ethnicity and kind of like exploring that things that I didn't know, and kind of like putting on my own experience in that paper. And I love that so much. And yeah, overall the class was such a great time. And the professor that did it is probably also one of my favorite professors. Her name is Elizabeth Cooper, and she's just like kind of like amazing in the way that she allows students to be themselves. And so in the tutorials we had, I was fortunate to kind of have her in my tutorial as well. And tutorials are like smaller groups to kind of like deconstruct the material that we learned in the lecture. And through this, she was like, oh, you don't have to like speak out loud if you don't want to. I know some people are uncomfortable. You can do it in smaller groups, and like I'll just watch you guys, grade you guys through that way. And so it was nice because then everyone felt comfortable and was able to get their participation marks in like the way that they can. And she was also very understanding of like everything going on, had like hundreds of questions. She was like super willing. And so that's also most of your profs too. And so don't be afraid to reach out. Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much, Abby. We'll go on to Amin now.
I think one of my favorite courses that I've taken is also an international studies course, and the course code is 358, and it's called Development Aid and Difference in a Historical Perspective. I took it a few years ago with Professor Amin Saju. I think he's technically a scholar in residence, but he is one of the best professors I've ever had at SFU, and I think that's why part of the reasons why I enjoyed the class so much. The course basically went in to show like the trajectory of development in different countries, but the history of it. So we talked a lot about Turkey, then we talked about the development of Japan, etc. I don't know how to explain it really well, but the thing that really got me about it was the professor lectured without using notes ever. So it was a small class because it was an upper division seminar at the Vancouver campus. And so he would just come to class and he just go off the top of his head because he just knew literally everything. And it was really wild to me at the time watching him speak, because he managed to keep everyone really engaged, and he knew everything inside out. And I believe he has a law background. So when he engaged in discussions with the class, it was more like it kind of felt like he was arguing with students at the time, but it became clear that he only argued back with students that he knew would be able to like engage him in like an interesting back and forth. So like it was kind of nice to be involved, because before that, I think I was used to having professors that would mostly talk at the class. And I think with like large class sizes, that becomes really common. But like everyone mentioned, you know, the higher you go in courses, the smaller they become and the more involved you can be in them. But that course really helped me figure out what I want to do and why I'm pursuing international studies and like the different opportunities that are available to me.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys so much. What we'll do one last little go around here, and then we'll go into questions from our incoming fall students. There might even be some summer students in here. So incoming students, think of some questions that you might have for our current students. We also have, as I mentioned, some academic advisors here. And we have representatives from student recruitment and admissions as well. So any questions that you might have, feel free to get those going in the chat, and we'll address them in our Q&A. And then we'll just do a quick go around here. So lastly, with the current students, what are some tips and tricks that you might have for this group of incoming students? Something that you know now that you wish you knew back then when you were in their shoes. So, you know, they're prepping for year one, some of them, or maybe even transfer students kind of coming into a year three. These are going to be incoming students. So think about something you kind of wish you knew when you were an incoming student, and different tips and tricks. So we'll do the same go around here. We'll start with you, Actually, let's start in the middle because Colin, I keep going to you first and I don't give you time to think. So let's go with Nick. We'll go around this way. Let's start
Oh
with
man, I was hoping Colin would get put on the spot again. It gives me time to think.
I keep putting Colin on the spot. I feel bad.
I do have an answer to this one.
I guess just something I wish I knew, or I just found out earlier in my degree, was the value of pursuing like a co-op, like taking a co-op semester, like exploring that element and actually seeking, getting a job placement in the field that you're studying. Not only do you get to make some money while you're learning, but you're also setting yourself up for future success after university. I know a lot of my friends who have done co-op programs are very thankful they have, because it gives you kind of a bit of an edge over other students that perhaps have graduated with the same degree, but did not necessarily have the same work experience. But yeah, that's just to seize those opportunities when they arrive, definitely.
Fantastic. I definitely agree. Co-op is a very, very valuable experience as part of your program. It's a really good way for you to figure out what you like and don't like. You know, as Colin mentioned, he went to a bunch of different like forums and met with a bunch of different lawyers. So there's some students who might go and work in that field and then realize, you know what, this is not what I want to do. Right. So it helps you figure that out while you're still part of your program. And, you know, you could be taking like I'm going to use criminal political science as an example, Colin. You could still take that program, but find a different pathway that you enjoy a little bit more. Right. So co-op is a really good way as part of your program to figure out what you like and don't like and get that experience on your resume. All right. As I mentioned quickly before I pass it on to Abby, our co-op and career session, it's our next bi-weekly session on April 7th. So make sure you join us for that one. So we'll pass it on to Abby next. Tips and tricks. What do you wish you knew back then?
For me, it's mainly like get involved and take the opportunities that you can, because SFU has so much of them and it's just like up to you to kind of grab it. In my first year, like I spent it kind of like sad because I didn't like have many friends, and like I had friends in class, but then they would take different classes. And I was just like, although I was like learning all the things that I wanted, I felt like I was like lacking in community and as well as like in experience. And so in second year, I just like took a leap of faith and like we have clubs day at SFU, which would be normally done like in person where you would have like booths and you can walk around. But we also kind of have it virtually where it's just kind of like you bounce around in like different breakout rooms. And so keep an eye out for that. But I joined my first club and like I met such great people and like it gave me so much more confidence in like the things that I wanted to do in like the future. And like we would encourage one another to like study, you know, find those study sessions on campus. And as well as even within the clubs and like student unions that I joined, I gained like skills that I can use for future career, like I mentioned before, like event planning and social media. So they're really quite valuable and it's so fun. And yeah, I just really recommend doing that and, you know, meeting others out there.
Great. Thank you so much. Amin, pass it on to you.
I would encourage everyone to talk to their professors and go to office hours, especially. I've heard some incredible stories from professors that they won't necessarily share in class unless you specifically go and see them and ask them certain questions. There was one semester I had an econ prof and me and my group were in his office hours every week before class. And he shared a lot of valuable stories with us and he gave us a lot of advice. And it helped us understand like the course material a lot better. But it also helps you make decisions for your future and like the path that you may want to take by talking to different people and I guess essentially networking with professors, but also establishing a relationship with professors going forward. So I would encourage everyone to not be afraid and definitely go to office hours.
Great. Thank you so much. Mizuki.
I'm going to kind of build on what everyone else has sort of said here, because I think something we hear as art students a lot, and like, it's not true and I hate it, but you hear it is like, what are you going to do with an arts degree? For me, what are you going to do with a world literature degree? And for a long time, I'm like, you know, I'll get a job. But now I'm at the end of my degree, I'm about to graduate. And the thing I've learned is that I'm not just graduating with the world literature degree. I'm graduating with so much experience. I've told you about the conference, I've gotten involved with my union, the Liar magazine at SFU, I've volunteered at the Student Learning Commons with the library, I've worked with the library, and now I work with the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. And the thing about FASS, which that's so wonderful, is that they do provide all these opportunities for you to get involved. They really, really do push you to get involved. And it might just seem like I'll make friends a different way, but it is really important to take those opportunities to get involved. As Abby said, go to Clubs Day. As Nick said, join a co-op. You know, all these things build experience on your resume, which lead to more opportunities, And then you graduate with like a 3-page long resume, and that makes you so much more employable and gives you so much hope for the future with you when you graduate as well. So I would build on what everyone else has said and just say, get involved, reach out, and you know, take those opportunities.
Great. Thank you, Mizuki. Lastly, Colin, didn't put you on the spot.
Yeah. So actually going last on this question is the worst, because I mean, that's
everyone's already answered it now.
The advice. But yeah, really kind of the overarching thing under all of this is really get out of your comfort zone. Like really that's what it takes. I can't remember who said it, but take a leap of faith and you know, go to Club Stays, join a club, and really, like, once you start being involved, like, it really does just kind of build up to more and more opportunities. You meet people. Yeah, get out of your comfort zone. I won't repeat everything everyone said because it's all super duper great advice. And yeah, your profs are people too.
Exactly. That's one thing to remember. Don't be scared of them. My tip and trick is to check your SFU email. So once you're able to activate it, make sure you're always checking your student email. That is how you get communicated with about everything. So once you're able to get access to that and activate it right away, and make sure you maybe set it up on your phone so that you don't miss any important communications. The students have even done different sessions on how to organize your student email, because sometimes it can get overwhelming too with checking your student email all the time. So, you know, don't forget to do that piece and maybe look at some of those different sessions that they have. So lots of questions coming into the chat here. It seems like a lot of them are for current students and they're general. So anybody can feel free to answer this. So the first one, what's your most memorable moment during your university semesters as well as right now? Anyone can feel free to answer. This is for the current students. Anyone want to talk about their favorite memories or most memorable moments? We talked a little bit about some favorite classes, some of our different experiences. Feel free if one of those was it's a repeat answer. So Nick, yep, you can go.
Yeah, I didn't know I should raise my hand.
Yeah, you can just unmute yourself and just go. So
I'd say one of my favorite experiences, I guess it's not necessarily course related, but just like being at SFU, and like it's one of those schools that is totally like you are in the news and the media like all the time, because we're doing so many interesting like studies all the time. It's like us and UBC pretty much alternate like on global news every night, some study about some phenomenon going on. But anyways, this high status like attracts so many different like events to happen like at SFU campuses. So like a lot of memorable experiences have been like sitting up like on the upper floors in the Surrey mezzanine, watching like Justin Trudeau come to SFU and like address us, because we're adults, we're voters, and he's like appealing to SFU students. There's even that little soundbite where he called us UBC students by accident before quickly correcting himself to SFU students. It happens. But it's like, and like Jagmeet Singh came and he spoke at our campus. Like, it's just like there has been, these are all at the Surrey campus, by the way. Burnaby, there's lots of fun stuff going on too, but I know a lot of people in the chat are from Surrey. Surrey campus gets its share of high profile visitors.
Thank you. Anybody else? Lots of questions are also being answered in the chat as well. So if you've asked some questions, make sure you kind of refer back to the chat. It may have been answered there. So Aman, I see you are unmuted. Feel free to go.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in and say that some of the late night study sessions that you inevitably end up having on campus with like random group members for different group projects end up being really memorable times. I remember like I've been on Burnaby campus till like midnight at times just working on a group project with people. And then you reach that time when you're all like delirious and you don't know what's going on anymore, but you need to keep studying, and you just end up laughing for a really long time, and that's really memorable.
Great, thank you. So we'll go on to our next question here for the current students. Megan, your question was answered by Mizuki in the chat. So current students, how do you go about balancing your courses with your electives? How did you balance your majors and your minors? This is also a great question for some of our advisors as well, because they help you with your course planning and helping you balance your workload. So feel free to just quickly talk about how you found your balancing your course load, and it works different for everybody, right? So feel free to go.
I would say one thing that's important is to keep, like as Caitlin said, check your email, because you do get a lot of communications on there and it's easy to miss things, especially when we're online. And whenever I have anything come up, I put it in my planner right away. And the first thing I do every day is open that page, and I know exactly like what's due, what's expected of me that day. And it really helps me keep on track with everything I'm doing and my schoolwork. But I would also say that it does get really overwhelming, and something that I'm just learning to do now and that I would recommend you all do is to learn how to practice self-care and take care of yourself during these times too. If you're volunteering at 3 different things and taking 5 classes, sometimes, sleep and exercise goes out the window, but it's important to practice those things. It helps you to make sure you don't burn out and that you can continue giving 100%.
Yeah, just to build on that, to answer, get really good at scheduling yourself and your time. Like what I find really helps for me is having like my daily planner, but also like having all my stuff kind of throughout, so I can plan on like a calendar. And like the second I have something added to it, it goes right in there. And it really helps me to chunk out time. Like, okay, from 2 to 4, I'm going to do readings. And if I'm done early, that's great. But getting really good at scheduling your time. I managed to work 30 hours a week and take a full-time course load, so it's doable.
Awesome, thank you. There's been a couple questions on here. What is the homework like? How much homework is there? What are the readings like? Is there a lot of reading in political science? So there's a few questions that have been asked about this in the chat. So hopefully we'll just get it all addressed in one here. So any of you can feel free to chip in about that.
I guess I can speak to the amount of homework required, and I guess the political science reading question too. The nice thing about university in comparison to high school is when you get homework, it's not due the next day, which is kind of nice. Not that I'm encouraging procrastination. I'm just saying getting a week, typically a week, or also like months in advance notice on when certain assignments is due is honestly a lifesaver. So normal week's homework typically likely just includes readings and kind of preparing for whatever the next week's material is. And I guess in regard to the volume of readings, it varies based on course and professor and week. Honestly, it can be anywhere. Like I mentioned before, I took an English course on New Yorker short stories. We're reading 2 to 5 pages a week. And I've taken history courses where you're reading hundreds of pages of primary sources written at the time. And it's just, you'll learn to manage it based on the course that you're taking at the time. Like if you know that you're in a bunch of courses that have pretty demanding reading loads, then you'll get pretty used to scheduling lots of time for reading and taking notes and stuff like that. Whereas if you're in courses that perhaps are less demanding on the week-to-week material, you'll learn that you can kind of prioritize some other courses where there's a bit more material expected of you to prepare for the following week. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything quick to say about homework? This is where I would also like to mention again your academic advisors, the importance of making those appointments with them. And it's not just prior to the start of the term too. You can have appointments with your advisors throughout your semester. So as I mentioned, we have Rose and Rachel here who are advisors, and they help you with your course planning and making sure that it's not going to be an extremely overwhelming course load for you, and really trying to balance that out. So again, just reiterating the importance of taking advantage of the different services that are available for students. And there's been some talk in the chat about the peer mentorship program. The peer mentors that you're going to be assigned to, they're going to be helping you, figure out where these are as well, right? They'll say, you know what, I really wish I maybe during exam period went and talked to a counselor, for example, right, to help me with managing my stress or something like that, right? So they'll really help you navigate that process a little bit. There is a question here about everyone's favorite places to study and hang out at SFU. So this will be for when we're all allowed to go back in person. Where's the best places to study? And some of it has changed. So there has been a lot of construction renovations that have been going on since we were back there in person. So some of it might have changed, but Colin, you raised your hand. You want to go first?
All right, so the places with the best views of the mountains on Burnaby campus, the third floor of the West Mall Center building, there's this lounge. Yeah, everybody here is nodding. You know what I'm talking about. It's gorgeous. It's right above a Tim Hortons too. So if you need a coffee, you can just pop down or a snack. Also the fifth and sixth floors of the academic quadrangle. If you're on the north side, you can see all the North Shore Mountains. And also, there's a lot of spaces where you can see mountains on Burnaby Mountain. So, yeah.
If I can add to that, for me, apart from Burnaby, I really like studying in Surrey because I am also from Surrey, so it's convenient, but it's the least complicated campus ever because everything is just there. In Burnaby, you have to like travel a lot, and obviously that offers a lot of spaces, but with Surrey, it's just like, there's a lot of like space by the window. There's also private study rooms, and as well as Vancouver campus, there's like a spot where it's just like the view is like the waterfront, like mountains and the sea, and it's like really nice. And so also recommend that.
The Vancouver campus also has a student lounge. I think it's a student lounge for everyone. And you need a code to get in, but if you show them your student ID at the desk downstairs, they'll give you the code. But that's always a nice place to study. There are no views because there are no windows, but you can go there to escape, and there's charging ports.
Awesome. Sometimes those no windows actually be good. Someone like myself, if there were windows with these beautiful views, I would probably find myself staring out them the whole time and get very distracted. So those windowless study areas can be very nice and helpful at times as well. There's a question in here about, has anybody lived in residence? And Mizuki has lived in residence during her time. There was a question also about, has anything changed during COVID? I don't know if you know about any changes, Mizuki. I don't know if you're still living in residence or not, but feel free to quickly talk about your time in residence. And for changes during COVID, we can put that down into the chat. Just get, maybe Madison will get you to put some answers in there if you haven't already.
Yeah, so I lived on residence in my first year in fall 2017 to spring 2018. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I did it in my first year because it kind of forced me to make friends, which, it can be kind of hard if you're commuting sometimes. It is hard when you're living away from home for the first time, but at least you're surrounded by people who are in the similar situation. I lived in one of the towers, and if you live in the towers, you get a single room and then a shared bathroom on your floor, and then there's the dining hall. And I have some friends who went to UVic and who went to UBC, and they're all jealous of SFU's dining hall, I will say, because you pay for like one pass and then you get unlimited food. It's open 24 hours. So like me and my friends would go after a long study session at like 3 a.m. and just get a bunch of fries and ice cream and just like chill in the dining hall. Whereas like other universities, sometimes you have to pay per meal or something. So the dining hall is a huge bonus. I don't know if this is the same in COVID, but there's also an area in the dining hall, which is just like a kitchen stocked with groceries. And you can just go in and use any of their ingredients and cook any meal you want in their little kitchen. So if you're someone who likes to cook or doesn't like the food they make, then you have that freedom as well. And yeah, I had such a great time living up there, having access to campus 24/7, studying late into the night. I have really fond memories, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, we're right on our 1 hour mark here. There's still a couple questions in the chat. Someone did ask if this is going to be recorded. And yes, the session is recorded, and we can share that and post it on our website. If you do find that you have more questions after this event, I've changed my name to my email address. And I'll also, if it's not already in the chat, but I will get somebody to link our FASS peer mentor contact form so you can get connected with current students that way. I'll also have, maybe we'll get Rachel to link our advising page so you can go and see the different types of advising sessions that they're going to be hosting and how to make those appointments. But keep in mind that a lot of this, as we talked about, is going to be emailed to you. So you will get invited to these events. We will be communicating with you when they happen. There will likely be some course planning sessions. They're not planned just yet, but in June sometime. Keep an eye on your email because there might be some of these sessions for you to go through your course planning and get all of that figured out before it comes time to register in your classes. So keep an eye on your email right now, and when you're able to activate your SFU email, we'll be connecting with you that way. So lots of links just got put into the chat for how to get connected. So any admissions related questions, Madison just put a link there in the chat. Any FASS related questions, you can connect with me directly. We also have Mizuki and Abby as part of our, they're actually our fantastic engagement programming assistants in FASS. And they have contact forms so you can connect with them directly as well. And once you're able to get going with that peer mentorship program, you'll get connected to students that way. Any final questions, feel free to just quickly put them into the chat there and we'll address them. Some of you may have to go, so I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. Hopefully the sirens in the background aren't too loud right now. There's a lot of sirens going by for me. But thank you all so much for joining us here. We are so happy you took the time to come and get your questions answered and meet with some of our current students and start to get connected and engaged and get connected to that community. So we are really excited for you. You do also have, in addition to that calling campaign that we talked about, where those phone calls are coming, keep an eye on your mail. I think this is the most exciting part. I'm super excited about it. We have packages coming out to you. Some of you may have already received them, but there are packages coming in the mail. They are welcome packages from FASS with contact information for our year one advisors, our engagement programming assistants. So you'll see the pictures for Mizuki and Abby there. You'll get information on how to connect with your department student unions, but we also have a FASS golden ticket. So we have 5 FASS golden tickets. So not everybody gets one. It's random, completely random. 5 FASS golden tickets that have gone out in the mail. And if you get one of these FASS golden tickets, that means you win. You get $50 to the SFU bookstore. So it's just kind of our fun way to get connected with the mail out package there. I'm super excited about it. So if any of you get the FASS golden ticket, you have got to get connected with us. You can tag us on social media, let us know that you won. So we are really excited about that. So it's going to all be, yes, Bettina mentioned, all admitted students into FASS. So there are some that are still coming out. So keep your eyes on the mail for that. All right, so last couple things here. Any favorite sociology classes, those just got put into the chat. And for international students, yes, we have done it for all. So we have done everybody across the globe. We used whatever mailing address you put on your application form. So that would be whatever the most up-to-date mailing address you have on file, that will be where we had sent it to. So hopefully you get it. It has gone out to everybody. So awesome. Any final words from our current students or our advisors or anybody in admissions just before we pass it on and say farewell for the night? Anything? All right.
I'll quickly say that I know this is overwhelming, but I think all of us here knew less than you when we were going in, if not the same amount. So don't be too overwhelmed. All your questions about advising will get answered and you'll learn it through the next few months too. So just stay excited. Don't worry too much.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. Like there's so much support available. And yeah, as Mizuki was saying, so much information was thrown at you. So yeah, don't be afraid to reach out for help.
I agree. And you can see Mizuki and Abby also changed their names to their email addresses there as well. So make sure you do get connected with us. Any questions you have, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, this is such a silly question. I don't even want to ask it. But no questions are silly questions. If you have questions, ask them. This is what we are here for, is to help you and support you through this journey. So email us, join all of the events that we have. If you're able to, ask the silly questions. So thank you again for everybody joining us here tonight. Thank you to all of our current students who came tonight as well. And have a great evening.